the Twitch staff shows up in Tectone's chat after he went viral on live stream fails for saying the F-slur. Tectone, by the way, Tecting, offers a rebuttal. If you ban me again for saying that and you don't ban all of them, it's just not going to be a good look for you. And I mean, he's not wrong, actually.
Hey, Twitch staff, I want to let you know, if you want to ban me, can you ban me on my day off like you did Hassan? So make sure to ban me on Sundays. That's my preferred day off. Cool. Thank you. Thank you.
My preferred days off are Wednesdays and Thursdays. Monday is also acceptable. You know, any of those days. That's cool.
Yeah, please, just get me on my day off. Yeah, oh, and by the way, if you're gonna ban me for what I just said, make sure you also ban Denims and Hassan and Frogan for what they said. Because I promise you, if you ban me again for me saying that and you don't ban all of them, it's just like not gonna be a good look for you. Like, I'm just being dead ass. Like, what's important here is that you properly enforce your TOS and make sure you apply that universally rather than ban me for another fucking month, right? It's never a good look. So I'm glad that you're here so you can hear that, right? Just make sure you do that across the board, because you never banned Hassan for calling people rapists and pedophiles, which, by the way, Hassan called me a rapist again 3 days ago. So if you want to ban me, you can, but just understand, like, it's just going to make y'all look like hypocrites again. And if you ever have a conversation with me, you can always DM me as well. All right, great.
Man's fighting the good fight one slur at a time. Yeah, I 1000% agree. That's wonderful. Like, this is like, yeah, end game boss levels of fuck you money. And it's like with I mean, Kick, not the best platform either, but with Kick, you know, giving you passive American penny dollars for just existing there, and with YouTube also existing, even though they're not great either. You know, there's 3 shitty platforms to choose from, so it's not like Twitch is king of the castle and you're stuck there forever anymore. Ban only me for slurs and see what happens energy. Pretty much. That's a great thing. I'm tired of hypocritical rulings everywhere. I'm tired of hypocritical rulings in real life and in, like, content creation spheres. It's time for everyone to actually be equal, right? And I woke up this morning and apparently I chose violence because a lot of people were not happy with my take here. Apparently Trump has signed an executive order saying that it's okay to burn the American flag or some shit. The United States Supreme Court, 1989, Texas versus Johnson, readers added context here. Flag burning constitutes symbolic speech that is protected by the First Amendment. Yeah, that's cool and all, but I just really don't give a shit anymore. And this person, Polling USA, whatever the fuck they are, American polling and data, yeah, nobody trusts you, you pieces of shit. They're going down the fascist route pretty quickly. Flag burning, whether you like it or not, is freedom of speech. And Asmongold responded, if you read the replies of this thread, you'll see this account justifying why it's okay to burn the US flag, but not the LGBT one. They don't care about freedom of speech. They're trying to weaponize your values against you to further their own political goals. Lying retards. And I am sick of the lying retards. I am sick of them. And I agree with Asmongold when he says, if it's your own flag and on private property, I completely agree with you. The guy said flag burning should not be illegal. He added, especially Israeli ones. People have said apparently they made, like, burning the Israeli flag illegal prior to this, which, that's a little weird. That's a little strange that one was made illegal, especially prior to your own country's flag. That's a little strange. I misspoke. Trump made it illegal. Sorry if I misspoke. Trump apparently made it illegal to burn the flag, whatever. I'm sorry. So I quote retweeted this, and I was like, yeah, I just really don't care if burning the American flag is criminalized right now. I'm tired of my principles being used against me by people who hate me and hate said principles because they see it as a way to browbeat compliance. And as sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, there are already people who are trying to shame me into being like, oh, if you don't defend the rights of people who want you dead, well, you just don't have any principles, do you? That's very hypocritical of you. No, it's not. I'm sick of you. I am sick of you. You hate me and you hate everything I stand for. Why the fuck should I give a shit if you're trying to shame me for it? Why the actual fuck would I care about your opinion? You are the little rat in the dark chewing on my wires. Fuck off. I was like, I often ponder on stream how we're going to beat radicals who subvert, shift definitions, lie about their goals to gain sympathy, and demonize others for repeating the words that come out of their own mouths. And I think, how do we fight against something like this when I don't want to encroach on the speech of others? How do you fight someone who wishes you dead when you do more to defend them than fight them? And if you're going to die on the hill of we can't do anything about people burning the flags, I feel like that's kind of the position that you're taking. Yes, I would love to live in a society where you can burn any flag you want. The US flag, the Israeli flag, the gay flag, the Black Lives Matter flag, any flag you want. You should be able to burn it as long as you own it and you're not stealing someone else's property, right? You should do whatever the fuck you want with that flag. But principles only work in a polite society. You can have disagreements with people and respect their right to disagree with you. But when they disagree with you and then action on that disagreement to censor you and to oppress you, that is where it becomes a problem. And if you're defending people who wish to censor you and oppress you and see you jobless and broke and your kids raped and brainwashed, you're left at a pass where it's like, well, do I keep defending free speech for these people who continuously want to oust me from my own country, or do I fucking nut up and do something about it? And I feel like continuously protecting the free speech of people who would not give you that same benefit is doing detrimental, irreversible damage to our country. And we can see this in places that have instituted like the call to prayer 5 times a day in places in Michigan and in Minnesota. We can see this from the LGBTQ councilwoman I keep referencing recently, where she's like, we've done everything for you guys. Like, you Muslim immigrants have come in here and we fed you and we clothed you and we housed you. How could you stab us in the back by getting rid of pride flags and getting rid of pride parades? And it's like, well, you know, freedom is according to your principle, but once they get into power, they are going to censor you. They are going to oppress you. They do not give a shit about the principles that you hold, only how they can be used against you. And this is why I've started moving towards the you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you set the rules of engagement, I'm not going to cry for you when something I believe is principled shouldn't happen, then happens to you. Right? Like, I'm against cancel culture. I don't think you should go after people's sponsors if you disagree with them. But if somebody goes after someone's sponsors, regardless of whether they succeed or not, and then that person loses a sponsor, I'm not gonna cry over their fucking spilt milk. You get what you fucking deserve. So if people advocate that I shouldn't be able to say things, that I shouldn't have free speech, why would I then defend their right to free speech to then go on and actively oppress me after? That is literally advocating for my own suicide, and it makes no fucking sense. So, prosecuting burning of the American flag by the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the background music that's now on again. And the laws of the United States of America, it is hereby ordered. I almost said ordained. Section 1, purpose. Our great American flag is the most sacred and cherished symbol of the United States of America and of American freedom, identity, and strength. Over nearly 2.5 centuries, many thousands of American patriots have fought, bled, and died to keep the stars and stripes waving proudly. The American flag is a special symbol in our national life that should unite and represent all Americans of every background and walk of life. Desecrating it is uniquely offensive and provocative. It is a statement of contempt, hostility, and violence against our nation. And if this was like 20 years ago, I probably would have disagreed with this. I would have been like, burning the flag is a free speech issue because you should be allowed to do that if you disagree with the government, if you think the government is doing things that are actively harming the population. That is a way to voice your discontent with what the government is doing, with the direction that your country is going. And I still think if we lived in a society where we could actually respect each other, that should be how things are. If someone is burning the American flag, you should be like, well, why are you doing this? Why are you upset with the country and the direction it's going in? Unfortunately, that's not where we're at in current year. Where we're at in current year is America needs to burn to the fucking ground and be reborn in a Marxist image. And I'm just not okay with that, actually. The clearest possible expression of opposition to the political union that preserves our rights, liberty, and security. Burning this representation of America may incite violence and riot. American flag burning is also used by groups of foreign nationals as a calculated act to intimidate and threaten violence against Americans because of their nationality and place of birth. Notwithstanding the Supreme Court's rulings on First Amendment protections, the court has never held that the American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action, or that is an action amounting to fighting words is constitutionally protected. See Texas versus Johnson, 1989. My administration will act to restore respect and sanctity to the American flag and prosecute those who incite violence or otherwise violate our laws while desecrating the symbol of our country to the fullest extent permissible under any available authority. So this is interesting that this little caveat is added here, right? Because this makes it sound like if you own a flag and you burn it in your own backyard, that doesn't matter. It sounds like if you take a flag that you own and you burn it somewhere publicly, then that becomes an issue. Section 2, measures to combat desecration. The Attorney General shall prioritize the enforcement to the fullest extent possible of our nation's criminal and civil laws against acts of the American flag desecration that violate applicable content-neutral laws, while causing harm unrelated to expression consistent with the First Amendment. This may include, but is not limited to, violent crimes, hate crimes, illegal discrimination against American citizens, or other violations of American civil rights, and crimes against property and the peace, as well as conspiracies and attempt to violate and aiding and abetting others to violate such laws. Now, once again, I don't want to become like the UK. So it seems like, well, Britons are trying to resist their hostile occupation by putting up the fucking English flag all over the place, and people are getting in trouble for doing so. Maybe these enclaves that want to see Americans dead will have a bit of an issue. St. George's Cross, thank you. That's what I was looking for. And I'm sure there are some people who would still want to do like a normal protest by burning the flag. But I feel like if they tried that in current year, they would just get mixed up with the people who genuinely want to see us dead and occupied. Could always add a $100 environmental fee for burning the flag on any occasion. When you're fighting in a culture war, and the enemies in your culture war are subversive, and the way that they've gained ground for decades and decades and decades is subverting definitions of words, changing definitions of words, outright lying to people about what their intent and their goals are in order to gain as much ground as they have. What are you supposed to do if you do not meet them at the rules of engagement that they have drawn? Like, playing their word games is only going to give them more legitimacy. Giving them the right to your principles only gives them more legitimacy. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people have embraced the when you kill your enemies, they win mentality. And I'm just also not gonna be Canadian, actually. The Attorney General shall prioritize the enforcement to the fullest extent possible of our nation's criminal and civil laws against acts of the American flag desecration that violate applicable content-neutral laws, while causing harm unrelated to expression consistent with the First Amendment. This may include, but is not limited to, violent crimes, hate crimes, illegal discrimination against American citizens, or other violations of American civil rights, crimes against property and the peace, as well as conspiracies, an attempt to violate and aiding and abetting others to violate such laws. In cases where the Department of Justice or another executive department or agency determines that an instance of American flag desecration may violate an applicable state or local law, such as open burning restrictions, disorderly conduct laws, or destruction of property laws, the agency shall refer the matter to the appropriate state or local authority for potential action. And I mean, I'm sure there are going to be people who are just like, well, I mean, couldn't they just make up a law and then like hold you for this, you know, just because they just don't like you? Sure, yeah, but again, when you're fighting people who continuously change language, what else are you going to do? We've seen the DEI shit. We've seen the DEI executive order. We've seen them all close ranks and all change the language and look you straight in the face and say, we're not going to change a single fucking thing, and you're going to celebrate because we've made you believe that you're winning. And what has happened? Most people have looked away and claimed we're winning. DEI's going away. DEI's dying. It's not. It's fucking not, man. To the maximum extent permitted by the Constitution, the Attorney General shall vigorously prosecute those who violate our laws in ways that involve desecrating the American flag, and may pursue litigation to clarify the scope of the First Amendment exceptions in this area. The Secretary of State, Attorney General, and Secretary of Homeland Security, acting within their respective authorities, shall deny, prohibit, terminate, or revoke visas, residence permits, naturalization proceedings, and other immigration benefits, or seek removal from the United States pursuant to federal law whenever there has been an appropriate determination that foreign nationals have engaged in American flag desecration activity under circumstances that permit the exercise of such remedies pursuant to federal law. Based. If you want to be in this country, why would you start burning our flag? Get the fuck out. Get the actual fuck out. If you want to come here, great. Come here the right way. Get naturalized, become a citizen, be a part of our country. If you're going to come here and you're going to start shit and you're going to burn our flag, get the fuck out. Go home. We do not want you. And you shouldn't be allowed to stay here if you're going to do that. This is where some people definitely, divulge from my opinion. I do not think that our Constitution should protect foreign nationals who are not naturalized in this country. If you're not a citizen, you do not get protected by those rights, because all that happens when they do is they use that against us. Section 3, severability. If any provision of this order or the application of any provision to any person or circumstance is held to be invalid, the remainder of this order and the application of its provisions to any other persons or circumstances shall not be affected thereby. Well, all right. Nothing in this order shall be construed to impair or otherwise affect the authority granted by law to an executive department or agency, or the head thereof, or the functions of the director of the Office of Management and Budget relating to budgetary, administrative, or legislative proposals. This order shall be implemented consistent with applicable law and subject to the availability of appropriations. This order is not intended to, and does not, create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable at law or in equity by any party against the United States, its departments, agencies, or entities, its officers, employees, or agents, or any other person. The costs for publication of this order shall be borne by the Department of Justice. Flag burning incident near the White House leads to arrest hours after Trump's executive order. The arrested man identified himself as a combat veteran and said he was burning the American flag in protest of an executive order Trump signed Monday targeting flag burning. And before I read anything else about this man, this comes off as someone who perpetually wants to keep you losing. They don't want to win. They don't want the country to fix itself. They don't actually want progressives to stop gaining ground and putting policies into place that ruin us. This is someone who just wants to keep losing. Federal authorities Monday arrested a man across the street from the White House after he set an American flag on fire the day President Donald Trump signed an executive order intended to crack down on flag burning. The man, who identified himself as a 20-year-old combat veteran in a video posted to social media by the news outlet The Bulwark, said, "I'm burning this flag as a protest to the illegal fascist president that sits in that house," as he pointed toward the White House from Lafayette Square. The Secret Service said in a statement that it detained the man around 6:15 p.m. ET for igniting an object and that he was turned over to U.S. Park Police. Park Police said they arrested the man for violating a statute that prohibits lighting a fire in a public park. And this is exactly what the order said as well. It said that it's not going to go afoul of the First Amendment. They're going to arrest people who burn the flag that violates other laws that already exist. And if this park, in fact, has a statute that says you cannot light fires here, then it doesn't matter if it was a flag that he set on fire. The arrest came hours after Trump signed an executive order to crack down on desecration of the American flag in connection with inciting violence or violating other laws. The order directs Attorney General Pam Bondi to vigorously prosecute people who burn the American flag while engaged in other offenses, and it says she may pursue litigation to clarify the scope of the First Amendment exceptions in this area. I think that would probably make other people feel better, right? If there was like a blatant, even more descriptive, like First Amendment exception than this one sentence in here. I don't really feel like we need any more of it, because I feel like this is pretty on the nose itself, but if more people need more convincing, that could be a good idea to do. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4 in 1989 that the Constitution protects burning the American flag. Trump's order does not make flag burning a crime or assess a penalty for it, but it argues that burning flags in a way that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or amounts to fighting words is not constitutionally protected. When he signed the order, Trump said, "When you burn the American flag, it incites riots at levels that we've never seen before. People go crazy." The U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, has played a key role in the Trump administration's efforts to exert federal control over parts of Washington and shown a willingness to go aggressively after low-level transgressions. What do they mean by this? What do they mean by aggressively after low-level transgressions? Is this like that weird decriminalizing thing we read the other day? She said this month that her office had charged a man accused of tossing a sandwich at a federal agent in D.C. with felony assault. I mean, good. Why would you toss a why would you do that? You can kind of see the point of the executive order. The explanation kind of helps. It kind of helps with the explanation. And also, once again, I don't believe that people who seek to restrict your speech should get the benefits of you defending their right to free speech. They should have it, and you should be able to live peacefully in disagreement, but that is not where we live in this current year. And let me bring up criminal complaint filed against woman accused of calling a child a racial slur at Rochester playground. I don't know if there's any Indians in the chat who use AI to write libelous articles, but I mean, get your little groks ready, bro.
Awesome input.
The Rochester City Attorney's Office has filed a complaint summons related to an April 28th event at Roy Sutherland Playground in Soldiers Field Park. The complaint charges Shiloh Hendrix with 3 counts of disorderly conduct, which could lead to a maximum of 90 days in jail and or a $1,000 fine, according to a Minnesota statute. In early May, a Rochester man shared a video online allegedly showing Hendrix calling a child a racial slur at the playground. The draft complaint requires review and approval by a district court judge. The city attorney's office emphasized the complexity of the case, noting the extensive evidence and the necessary involvement of the crime victim's perspective as required by Minnesota law. This was a situation that deeply affected many people, especially our communities of color, and caused real turmoil in our community, shared Mayor Kim Norton. We acknowledge the lasting impact this incident has had, not only on those directly involved and across our community, but also in the broader conversations happening at the state and national level. These moments remind us of the complexity and far-reaching impacts of situations like this. The city remains committed to staying engaged and proceeding with transparency and care, continuing efforts that support accountability and progress in Rochester. The city attorney's office said it is committed to a fair legal process while recognizing the case's emotional and lasting effects on the community. It says ongoing discussions and activities aim to address both immediate reactions and long-term needs, reflecting the city's commitment to transparency and accountability. And then you have the orders here. You have the first one. The complainant submits this complaint to the court and states that there is probable cause to believe the defendant committed the following offenses: disorderly conduct, offensive, abusive, boisterous, noisy, obscene, maximum sentence 90 days jail, $1,000 fine, or both, offense level misdemeanor. On or about April 28th, 2025, within the city of Rochester, county of Olmsted, Shiloh Marie Hendrix, while in a public or private place and knowing or having reasonable grounds to know that it would tend to alarm, anger, disturb others, or provoke an assault or breach of the peace, did wrongfully and unlawfully engage in offensive, obscene, abusive, boisterous, or noisy conduct. or an offensive, obscene, or abusive language that would reasonably tend to arouse alarm, anger, or resentment in others relative to victim YJ. And to this I have to say, damn, that's really ironic that they say that a word can provoke an assault. I don't know, that shouldn't really hold up in court. If you punch someone for words, you assaulted them, unless their words were, "What are you gonna do, punch me, bro?" Right? Like, there's a little bit of a difference here. Provoke an assault over words. And it's really interesting that a child was stealing from her, and a guy who was supposed to have a trial for sex with a minor was recording her. But because she said a no-no word, you know, she's got to do jail time or get a fine. I don't really care about protecting the free speech of people who write complaints like this. I just don't really care, Margaret. They are using your principles against you to push their own takeover and to oppress you. Count 2, disorderly conduct, again, 90 days jail, $1,000 fine, or both, on or about April 28th, 2025, within the city of Rochester, county of Olmsted, Shiloh Hendrix, while in a public or private place and knowing or having reasonable grounds to know that it would lend to alarm, anger, disturb others, or provoke assault, or breach of the peace, did wrongfully and unlawfully engage in offensive, obscene, abusive, boisterous, or blah, blah, blah. I guess it ends there. I couldn't finish reading, but there's 3 counts that she's being charged with. And there's 2 of them there. I'm assuming one is for the word, one is for the middle finger, right? Like, what even are we doing here? What even are we doing here? This is absurd. Should she have called a child a slur? No. No, she shouldn't have. But is she disturbing the peace because she said one? No, and if she is, well, I can make a lot of calls to the cops on my neighbors who shout the N-word while I'm fucking streaming, now can't I? Like, come on, what are we fucking doing? What are we fucking doing? I'm gonna clog the courts with this so we can push back the court case for the guy with a camera. Well, that was another thing, right? The guy with the camera, like, never mind that we don't know who the child is, right? Like, a ton of people were like, oh, she said it had a disabled child. We don't know if the child is disabled. We know nothing about the fucking child who was stealing from her at the time that this occurred. Like, she was the victim. She said a bad word. Don't call children slurs. But the child was still stealing from her. And we know nothing about the child, so I'm just gonna scoot over that. But the guy recording her, a Sharmake Bailey Omar, was charged with raping a 16-year-old after she ran away from her foster home. Why was he at a playground? Why isn't he in jail? According to court records, the teenager told law enforcement that Mohammed Omar picked her up at a Rochester Quick Trip and offered her a place to stay at his trailer, then propositioned and raped her after the teenager told him she would not have sex with him. The teen said she met Sharmake Omar at the trailer later and that Omar sexually assaulted her twice. The teenager said she was kept at the trailer for just under 24 hours with no food, and the 2 men took her shoes to prevent her from running away. Looks like Sarah's censored spreading fake news again. Sarah, we read tweets from her on occasion, and I always say grain of salt, but she said many are calling him a pedo due to an older case where he was accused of assaulting a 16-year-old. However, according to court documents, the accusations were dropped and he was cleared of all allegations. He has several children and was allowing them to play at the park when the incident occurred. And this person is saying charges against Sharmake Bail Omar's accomplice, Mohammed Hussein Omar, were dropped, which I acknowledged yesterday. The charges against Sharmake were not dropped as of yesterday. This was May 2nd, 2025. And I don't know, then he insults Sarah. I don't know about this. This is the case number. Marian Salim Abdallah, Olmsted County Department Child Support versus Sharmake Bail Omar. On April 2nd, 2021, a support case was filed by, you can't see their name, in the jurisdiction of Olmsted County, judge closed presiding. Last refreshed October 23rd, 2023. And then we have charges dropped against Rochester men accused of sexually abusing a teen victim. Update. So this was published February 3rd, 2023, updated May 2nd, 2025. Update, the Olmsted County Attorney's Office has dismissed the charges against Mohammed Omar, quote unquote, in the interests of justice. And the story that is an update to, once again, is 2 men accused of sexually assaulting a juvenile female are pleading not guilty. Mohammed Hussein Omar, 41 of Rochester, and Sharmake Bayel Omar, 30 of Rochester, are charged with 3rd-degree criminal sexual conduct and 5th-degree criminal sexual conduct. Investigators say the 2 men had sex in January 2022 with an underage female who had run away from her foster care placement. Court documents state when the victim was examined by a nurse, she was sleep deprived, dehydrated, and had nothing to eat recently. Sharmake Omar was arrested February 2022 and pleaded not guilty in August 2022. Mohammed Omar was arrested August 2022 and pleaded not guilty Thursday. Both are set to stand trial beginning May 1st, and then May 2nd, 2025, Olmsted County Attorney's Office has dismissed the charges in the interests of justice. What the interests of justice means, I have no fucking clue, but what kind of a country would drop the charges against someone for sexually assaulting a minor and then press charges against a woman saying a naughty word in a park? I feel like that's kind of fucking weird, man. I don't know what the fuck is going on, man, but like, I am sick of it. I do not wish to protect the freedom of speech of these people. It's not that I disagree with them. It's that they don't act like people. Like, I don't know what else you want, man. Here we have British police violently attack a peaceful protester carrying a Union flag. They put pressure on his throat and the man is now hospitalized. The UK police are out of control. And it says, man in hospital after being beaten by Sussex police. Man later released by police as mistaken identity. Oh.
No. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What? Section 50? You're fucked. You're fucked. You're fucked. And you're fucked. Yeah, you're all fucked.
Is it any wonder that when the British police are trying to arrest citizens for doing nothing wrong, and a migrant stabs the police officer, none of the people want to fucking help them? And it's like, this is kind of like what our police force was trending towards, you know, about 5 years ago, where it's like they are no longer here to protect the average citizen. They are no longer here to protect the peace. They are here to protect the elites and the interests of. They do not give a shit about you. There might be some decent cops around somewhere still, but by and large, we keep seeing that file and rank, they're just following orders, bro. These are obviously always edited to showcase, like, the dumbest people that they've asked these questions to. But it still boggles my mind that people in Britain can think like this, and they don't realize that they are the occupied Big Brother state talked about in 1984. I just don't know how you can live there and think the things that these people in this video do. Even if these are cherry-picked examples, it's still crazy to hear.
Would you move to America in 2025?
No. Never. No.
No interest in moving there. It's a complete hole.
No, because I am transgender.
You'd step over there and you already lose like 10 of the rights that you have here.
It's a
If a British person goes to America, they lose 10 of the rights they have in Britain. Do British people even have 10 rights anymore? Like, do they even have that many?
No.
Disgusting place. They've got no
Disgusting.
NHS whatsoever. It's an absolute dump.
They just think they're the best. They're like, oh my god, we have freedom, but most other countries have freedom.
I don't like.
Now, it's not for nothing, but people who emigrate from communist shitholes and seek asylum in the US so they don't get murdered by their shithole country's communist government have come out and said, if the United States falls, there is nowhere to go. There is nowhere else to go outside of the US where you would be safe in the same way. And now I have a tab that's funny in relation to that in a minute, because the United States isn't exactly physically safe in comparison to other places, but safe from ideological capture from communism for right now, and not for lack of them trying.
The culture, whether it's tipping, guns,
The thoughts on abortion.
If you're dying or having a baby, why you got to pay?
Why does he think that the thoughts on abortion in America differ that wildly from the thoughts on abortion in Britain? Wouldn't it be relatively the same? Like, there are some people for it and some people against it? Like, what does he mean by that?
On abortion.
If you're dying or having a baby, why you got to pay for it?
There's nothing about America that I think I would prefer over here.
You don't have, like, free speech at all there.
I wouldn't last a minute.
That woman has to be trolling, right? There's no way that someone living in the UK thinks that people in the US don't have free speech. They literally arrest you for posting on Twitter in the UK. What do you fucking mean by this? Like, we're catching up to you, don't worry. Yeah, it's not for lack of the commies trying, but
over there, I don't think. It's definitely stricter over there than it is over here. 1000%. If I was to go anywhere in America, it'd be like to maybe like Canada.
Would you move to America?
That's true. Canada basically is owned by the US. You know, I'm gonna give him that one. I'm not even gonna make fun of him for that. Ukrainian refugee 23 who fled war for a safer life in the US. Knifed to death by homeless career criminal in North Carolina. I think we're going to be running out of euphemisms soon here. I feel like, how many more euphemisms can we really use without just being honest? And also, can you imagine fleeing an unironic fucking war zone to a country where you should be safe, as it is not at a violent physical war, only an ideological one? And you just get fucking killed because our cities are apparently as dangerous as being in active wartime. A 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee who recently fled her war-torn home for a safer life in the U.S. was knifed to death by a homeless career criminal at a North Carolina train station last week. Irina Zarutska suffered multiple stab wounds and was pronounced dead at the East-West Boulevard Light Rail Station in South End, Charlotte, just before 10 p.m. on Friday, the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department said on Saturday. Zarutska had recently arrived in the United States, seeking safety from the war and hoping for a new beginning, according to a GoFundMe page set up to fundraise for the young woman's aunt and other family members during the heartbreaking time. Tragically, her life was cut short far too soon. This is an irreparable loss for her family, the statement read. Photos taken by local outlet WSOC-TV showed police tape cordoning off the platform and a train at the light rail station that night. Police have yet to confirm if the stabbing took place on the train, platform, or nearby. DeCarlos Brown Jr., 34, was identified as the suspect and transported to a local hospital with non-life-threatening injuries Friday night. He has since been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. Brown has been arrested a slew of times since 2011 for felony larceny, robbery with a dangerous weapon, and communicating threats, according to court records obtained by the Post. This is getting to be as exhausting as he was on the FBI's radar whenever there's a mass shooting event. You know, it's just like, why was he out on the street? Why was he out under his own cognizance? That doesn't make any fucking sense. He is homeless and served 5 years in prison for the robbery with a deadly weapon charge, according to WSOC-TV. Other past charges have been dropped, according to the Charlotte Observer. Oh boy. The alleged killer, however, currently has pending charges for misuse of the 911 system in January following a police welfare check, which revealed his troubling thoughts, the outlet reported. Brown told authorities during a visit he believed someone had given him a man-made material that controlled what he ate, when he ate, walked, and talked, an affidavit obtained by the newspaper said. Is this how it's gonna be? Right? Because, there's a chance this man is actually schizophrenic and could have been served by being put in a mental ward if we still had an abundance of mental wards. But also, if I call the police and I just make up some shit that make me sound crazy and then I go on and kill someone, I basically just killed someone for free. I'm not gonna have any charges. They're gonna be like, oh, this person's crazy. Let him back out on the street. That's fine. No big deal. Brown wanted officers to investigate this man-made material that was inside of his body, the affidavit said. Officers then advised Brown that he was suffering a medical issue and there was nothing more they could do to help him. He became upset over their response and called 911. He was arrested after he hung up the phone, the outlet reported. Well, see, if he's actually, schizophrenic, I don't think arresting him after calling 911 here makes very much sense, right? Because this is before the murder. So it's like, if he talks to officers about how he's like, there's a man-made material like a nanobot controlling my thoughts, you're like, okay, well, this guy's clearly crazy. And then he calls 911 because he wants them to investigate it. Instead of arresting him, he should be put in an institution, right? Like, that would have been the correct course of action. Using mental illness as a get-out-of-jail-free card. Old Sparky's collecting dust. Yeah. I'm a little sick of the pleading insanity during trials. We have police have arrested and charged a 14-year-old girl after she was forced to brandish a knife to defend herself and her friend against a migrant who attempted to assault her near St. Anne's Lane in Dundee, Scotland. Jeremy Kaufman said, you can hear the migrant say, show the knife in this video. This is the behavior of someone confident the system will protect his own predation. And we see this all the time in the US as well. The arrogance and narcissism of people who know that they will not be persecuted because we live under an unfair system.
You don't dare!
Yes, you have a knife.
You don't! Hey, I'm fucking wealthy! You're fucking bad and
Why are you fucking with us?
These are fucking kid bashers!
Show the knife. Show the knife. Show the knife.
Away from us!
Show the knife. Show the knife.
Don't touch her!
That's it. That's it. Show the knife.
Don't touch my little sister!
Show the knife. That's it.
Don't fucking touch my little sister! She ain't fucking 12! Where's her fucking touching me? She's fucking 12 and you just battered me, mate! Where's her fucking touching me?
Yeah, show the knife. Maratha.
Don't touch her down to me! Don't touch her!
And now she's been arrested because, you know, it's okay to try and rape minors, but it's not okay to have a knife in the UK. And it's also amusing to me how this is a 14-year-old girl who armed and defended herself and her friends. Yet how many years has it been where, like, the average British citizen's just like, no, that's fine. We can't do anything about the rape gangs. The politicians let them do it. So, you know, it's just part and parcel of living in the UK now. Oh my God. I hope they can fix their fucking country, man. I saw Tommy Robinson make a tweet about something happening on like September 13th or something. So I'm gonna mark that in my calendar. Pay attention to what happens on that day. A girl can't arm herself, but people can get stabbed left and right. Day after day, you wish someone would dress up as the Punisher and do what we all want to do. The video will be what radicalizes the vast majority of the population. I don't know if I believe in that anymore. I think a lot of people are willing to be complacent and look the other way as long as it's not happening to them directly. And I really dislike that kind of thing. Especially because, as Jeremy Kaufman also pointed out here, Scotland locals are cheering the arrest of Knife Girl and siding with the migrants. I don't know how a country this far gone ever comes back. And obviously, this isn't indicative of the entire country because it's Reddit. These are the people in the country with holes in their brains, right? But someone here said, the people who think this girl was just protecting herself by having these weapons are going to be singing a different tune if immigrants get tooled up to protect themselves from assaults by racist bigots who think they shouldn't be here. What reality is this person living in when the majority of knife crime is done by these illegal migrants in the UK? It's not the natives attacking the migrants for being there. It's the migrants starting the attack. So like, what do they mean by this? This person lives in a part of the country where there are no migrants. I love whenever someone in the UK starts talking about, you know, how necessary migrants are. And then fucking Callum just quote retweets them and they're just like, yeah, this person who says we need more migrants lives in a 94% white area. Every single time he makes a tweet like that, I have a sensible chuckle. It's literally every time. And I think like the lowest percentage he ever posted of somebody was like, it was 85 or 84% white. Well, wow, that's so low. Every Redditor should be deemed mentally ill and the burden of proof should be on them to prove otherwise. True and real. This other Redditor with holes in their brain said, people saying the guy was probably bothering her, and I honestly don't believe it. Yes, youths are more vulnerable, but I have been in a similar situation where I was facing assault by minors, and when I told the authorities, they turned it on me, saying I'm discriminating against them for being autistic and cried abuse. These little bastards know what they're doing, and they know the law will always side with them. I'm glad that didn't happen this time. If there were any minors in that group of girls that were not racist prior to that migrant trying to assault them, they are very racist now. I say this as someone who lived in a very poor neighborhood, and when I was a child, I was very racist against a certain group of people because I saw that certain group of people stabbing each other and shooting each other, and occasionally it would be shooting someone dead and beating a cat to death with a baseball bat and prostitution while underage. So, it's when you encounter these things, you start internalizing that and then extrapolating it. And, when you get older, you realize, okay, well, it's not every single one of those people. It's the one I lived around. But when you're a child, that's going to make you very racist for a very long time. Someone else on Reddit said, what scares me most is, can you imagine having to defend yourself with someone like that coming at you with those weapons? You would more than likely be staring at a murder charge. Well, first of all, if you're defending yourself, you don't get a murder charge. But also, second of all, it was the 14-year-old girl who was defending herself. So if you were a migrant trying to rape a 14-year-old and the 14-year-old attacked you with a knife, unless you live in Britbongistan, typically the 14-year-old would be in the right. Someone responded to this person with, in some ways, the girl with the weapons is lucky the guy filmed her and she was lifted. That wee girl looks like she's under 5 feet tall and maybe 5.5 stone. Even tooled up the way she is, if she gets in the habit of coming at full-grown adults with those, she could very easily end up hurt or dead. Oh no. We wouldn't want the 14-year-olds to end up hurt or dead. Raped is okay though, don't worry about that. You don't think these people understand weapons are meant for self-defense as well? They're so brain dead, they don't even consider using a weapon to defend themselves. It's crazy. These people are fucking crazy. No wonder Redditors have holes in their brains, bro. Someone else said, glad to know I can now officially carry knives and hatchets around in public if I plead fear. Well, if you lived in a normal fucking country, you could. Waynes these days are mental and clearly get away with it because Dafty's on Twitter and in this very thread would sooner condemn a potential immigrant than a mad bam with a hatchet. These are 100% Indian bots that are not Scottish. This is a psyop. It better be a fucking psyop because it is actual insanity. And he links the subreddit. SKS cartoon. Whose cartoon is this? I don't know who this guy is, but that's funny. Oh, why aren't any men helping us? Britain has no men. We're on our own. Oh my god. Potential immigrant, that's what we're calling it now. I mean, we have to obscure the fact that they're not supposed to be here as much as humanly possible. The area where she was wielding those weapons was the same area Dr. Fortune was murdered in a knife attack only a few months back. The street behind her, in fact. Zero tolerance. Glad the police have dealt with this swiftly. Majority of the commenters on here supporting these lasses for defending themselves are not realizing she either, one, already had the weapons on her before the man approached her, then why was she carrying them? Yeah, why was she carrying weapons in a country that has giant amounts of illegal migrant rape? I can't imagine why she would possibly ever want to have anything on her person to defend herself before being approached. You know, when I have an illegal migrant approach me with grubby hands, talking about how I deserve it for being an infidel, I gotta be like, hold on, sir. I know you're experiencing a sexual emergency, but can you wait 1 second while I go back home and get a knife, please? I don't understand these bug people. And never forget 3, carrying an offensive weapon with intent in public, never mind 2, is illegal in any circumstance. I don't ever want a person like this to enter my country. I feel like if you do not believe that a person has the right to self-defense, you just shouldn't enter my country. I don't want you here. Chat, is it offensive to defend yourself? This is what I was saying earlier. Like, there are tons of people who just think you should not be able to defend yourself, whether it be with words or against violent action. Kids like that come at you and start screaming pedo, etc. if you start filming them because they're fully aware that's the worst thing you can shout at a man. They'll shout it at women too. They give 0 shits. There's been issues with feral kids around where I live, but nothing that scale. I have not seen these videos. Where are these videos of children just screaming pedo at random adults approaching them? What is this? I can't blame him for filming them. It's what I'd probably do in the same circumstances to protect myself from anything they might say or do. But he's an idiot goading them like that. He wasn't goading them. He was asking them to show the knives because he knows that they're going to be the ones who get in trouble and not him. He knows that the system in that country is built to protect him and not them. What are the Twitter comments saying? Had a few on here saying they were carrying weapons to protect themselves from immigrant pedophiles or some shit. As usual, the mods just let it happen. This week we've seen some exceptional lies from the far right all over the UK subreddits.
Is this you? Well, if you are, there's hope. There's help. There's the please, please, please get a life foundation.
I don't understand, man. I don't understand how observing reality happening around you with your eyeballs has become far-right lies. I'm so confused, man.